Call the November 25th, 2014 Longmont City Council meeting to order. This is a regular session. Could we please start with the roll call?
Yes, Mayor Coombs.
Here.
Council members Bagley.
Here.
Christensen.
Here.
Finley.
Here.
Levison.
Here.
Moore.
Here.
And Santos.
Here.
Mayor Coombs, we have a quorum.
Okay, let's stand for a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Anyone wishing to speak at first call public invited to be heard will need to put his or her name on the list outside the council chambers. Only those on the list will be invited to speak at first call public invited to be heard. Speakers who do not place their name on the list will have an opportunity to speak during the public hearing items this evening or at final call public invited to be heard at the end of the meeting. Okay, now I've got the minutes from November 10th to approve. Councilmember Finley.
Thank you, Mayor Coombs. I move approval of the November 10th minutes.
Second.
Okay, let's vote. Okay, that passes 7-0. Valerie, are there any agenda revisions?
No, Mayor Coombs, we do not have any.
Is there a report from the city manager?
No report, Mayor, Council.
Oh. Okay. I guess we'll start first call public invited to be heard.
Youth Council, Danny Bagley.
Yes. Danny Bagley, please come down and state your name and address for the record. Oh, she's bringing the trophy.
Where's Rigo? Can we get a picture? We're going to need a picture.
So first off, I'd like to thank council and all of those who participated in this year's Halloween for the Hungry. It was a good success. Danny Bagley.
And your address. Got to follow all the rules.
Okay. What's the council address? All right, 2327 Flagstaff Drive. Let's go with
Okay.
that. So again, I'd like to thank everyone who participated in this year's Halloween for the Hungry. It was a great success, and I'd like to congratulate council for helping us as well in winning that. We raised a total of 332 cans for the community food share, and it was really great. So thank you very much, and here is your beautiful trophy. We'll get you next year.
I think we should go accept it.
All right.
Accept their trophy, guys. Come on, everybody. Let's go accept their trophy. I don't think you deserve a picture.
Ever. That's why it's so rare. It's rare. Come on.
Get in here, guys. Get in the middle.
Come on.
Mayor's over here.
One, two, three.
And we're going to have that on the website, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think that the website is working.
Youth council. Thanks for giving a crap, Gabe. I appreciate that.
Can I make a quick comment, Mayor?
Councilmember Larson?
Thank you. One of the things that many of us had the pleasure last week of hanging out with the Brighton Youth Council, and the entire Brighton Youth Council came to the National League of Cities Conference in Austin, and one of their Youth Council, Austin is actually on the Youth Education and Family Council Board, and made a couple of speeches in front of the big crowd. So youth was well represented by Colorado youth at this conference. So it would be lovely if you guys could sometime get together and come out with us to one of these meetings, because it's really wonderful when those Brighton City Council members had their youth with them. They stood proud, and so did the youth.
Councilmember Santos?
Thank you. Before we get back to public invited to be heard, and all joking aside, thank you to the Youth Council for challenging us again for the food drive. And they always, again, they've beat us just about every other year. And they do a very, well, every year except for two that, the only two that Councilmember Levison and I've been on. But they work very hard with the food drive, and they challenge us, and they always come out ahead. Just this year, we eked by. So thank you, and we look forward to losing next year.
All right, we'll get back to public invited to be heard. So, Alberto Mendoza.
Hello, Council. Thank you for having us here tonight. Just really quickly, we're going to be talking. My name is Alberto Mendoza. My address is 1713 Spruce Avenue, and I'm here to talk about the Pearl program. We have a couple of applicants that are applying for boards and commissions to the city of Longmont. And just really quickly, I want to say that I was part of the second class of Pearl in 2008. I moved to Longmont in 2007, wanted to be involved, and Pearl was a life changer for me. I took this class. The first board I joined was the Latino Chamber Board, and since then I've been on the Elder Board for Central Presbyterian Church, and I've been on the Intercambio de Comunidades Board for 3 years, and I'm now the Director of Community Action Programs, and I really feel that the programs that I took advantage of, like Pearl and the Community Foundation's Leaders Fellowship Program, really helped me do that. So I just want to thank you, and just hope that we can continue to work with you.
Thank you. Susana Lopez Baker.
Good evening, Council. My name is Susanna Lopez Baker, and my address is 10 South 17th Avenue Drive in Brighton, Colorado. I am the parole coordinator, and I am so proud to say that I have several parole participants here with me tonight, along with Commissioner Deb Gardner. So we get to sort of see some of your work in action, and then we've got another meeting to get to. But I want to tell you a little bit about the program. I've never been here to present on it, and I've been the coordinator since 2013. I do work on the LMAC with Sarah Levison. I also serve on the YWCA board of Boulder County. And I love parole, I believe in parole, and I want you to know that parole was initially started to educate many different groups of people here in Boulder County. And things that the participants are trained on are leadership development, effective communication, budgeting, financials, fundraising, Robert's Rules of Order, board member roles and responsibilities, diversity and inclusiveness, board application, and interview process. So they are well trained when they graduate, and at the very end we have a board fair. This year's class is being held in Longmont, which is why we're here, and we are expecting to have a very good turnout for the board fair, and we're really excited about that. In 2013, we held a series of focus groups to kind of gain some more knowledge on how to increase participation within our programs, and we are so proud to report that since 2013, we've had a 9% increase of our graduates serving on boards and commissions throughout Boulder County. So as of 2013, 57% of parole graduates, after they graduate, go on to serve. So I just wanted you to be aware of our programming and let you know that we're really excited to be in Longmont, and we will be back in Longmont to do additional training in 18 months. So thank you.
Well, thank you. We appreciate all that you do. Stanley Toll. Okay, we'll move on to Strider Benston.
Wow, big fancy machine up here. Yeah, I'm Strider Benston, 951 17th Avenue. Last several weeks I was planning to speak about the election, and I was going to speak about climate and then immigration. Now all of a sudden we got Ferguson last night. There have been 2 murders recently. One of a large kid by a policeman, and the other by the prosecuting attorney. What happened? The governor gave out a few days ago, said there's going to be a big riot, and we're going to mobilize the National Guard to prevent and mitigate this riot. I know a lot about those kind of things. There was a massacre in Tulsa in 1921 where the newspaper said, lynching tonight. And then they mobilized 15,000 armed white men, came in to the black community and massacred them. 350 people killed, 1,400 businesses and churches and homes burned to the ground. It's kind of the same game. Yeah, they mobilized the National Guard. Where did they put them? They put them in Clayton, where all the white businesses are. Not a single policeman, not a single National Guardsman, and certainly no fire trucks went to Ferguson, where they knew the incident was going to explode, because they already knew they were going to not prosecute the policeman for the killing. You see it on TV. You see 1,500 to 2,000 people standing around talking with each other, trying to figure out what to do. Very calm. And for about 45 minutes. Then the police started throwing tear gas and attack. And then half an hour later, the fire started. And they kept on going. And the first hour, there were only 3 fires. Then there were many more. Why? Because they never sent any policemen or any fire trucks into Ferguson, knowing that would happen, to basically burn out the black businesses and try to eliminate the population. This is how serious this problem is in this country, and there are people on all kinds of sides playing really sinister games. And the prosecutor, McCullough, that speech last night was his first speech running for governor in 2 years. Pay attention. There's too much going on. I've been studying this for 50 years and involved, and let's not go blindly into that dark night. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Stanley Cole.
Longmont City Council, Mayor Coombs. My name is Stan Toll. I'm a resident here at the City of Longmont. One reason I missed the count is I was told by Strider that one of the things that they were doing is running wants and warrants on me, so I had to go out and check to see if I missed any court dates or anything. And I think that's kind of like, I don't know, is that being done to discourage certain people from showing up to the city council meeting, or is this, it's been a classic thing that's been used to keep people from voting and all sorts of other types of activity. I'll back up a bit. The reason I'm here is that I had a car towed, and it was a no-notice towing. Now, I had a tow hearing on this, and there's some interesting things about a tow hearing. A tow hearing, you don't have the same rights as you do if you're accused. You're actually an accuser. And also, Vandehay allows testimony from people that are not even there in the courtroom to be presented. It's called hearsay testimony. That's okay in tow hearings. The other thing is that the tow officer testified that she doesn't tow just any vehicle. Basically what they do, and I've talked to one of the, Brian Bagley mentioned, I got a ticket for not having registration on my car, and my car wasn't towed. Well, of course, the procedure is, in this town, is that let's say you find a car that, let's say, doesn't have a tag, they check the list like Santa Claus to find out who's naughty or nice. And she said, well, maybe Mr. Toll knows the laws in this town. And so that's why we towed his vehicle. Well, like Brian Bagley doesn't know the laws in this town. And so I think that's it's actually very illegal to do that. We have a judge that's not protecting the citizens of our community from abuses. The other thing that's going on here is that there is some dispute of, is the city getting any money from having vehicles towed? Well, the tow companies swear up and down that they have to pay so much, and I've actually had this issue earlier when I had a vehicle towed when it got hit and run. And I wanted to tow it myself for $45, but they insisted on, the police officer insisted on having it towed, and it cost me close to $200. And $120 of that, according to the tow truck driver, now this is hearsay testimony, we really need to have, if this was a legal thing, we're supposed to have the tow truck driver here. But anyway, a tow hearing would be illegal if a fine is being imposed, and that is a violation of state law, as I have presented to you, and it is felony extortion. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that's the end of public invited to be heard.
Mayor Cruz, you ready for a second reading
Go ahead.
ordinances?
Second reading.
Your first item is ordinance 2014-70, a bill for an ordinance authorizing the city of Longmont to lease the real property known as the Top of the City landfill to the St. Vrain Archers and Bow Hunters Association. There is no formal staff presentation on this, but we do have staff in the audience to address questions.
Okay, is there anybody from the council would like to ask any questions before I open this up for public hearing? Okay, I'm going to open ordinance 024-1470 for public hearing. Is anybody from the public who'd like to speak on this ordinance? Seeing no one, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Councilmember Finley.
Thank you, Mayor Coombs. I'd like to move ordinance 2014-70.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Let's vote. That passes 7-0.
Your next item is the consent agenda. Item 9A is ordinance 2014-71, a bill for an ordinance making additional appropriations for the expenses and liabilities of the city of Longmont for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2014. Public hearing and second reading is scheduled for December 16th. Ordinance, item 9B is ordinance 2014-72, a bill for an ordinance establishing a charge of 75 cents per month for emergency telephone service 911 for wired and wireless subscribers in Longmont for the calendar year 2015. Public hearing and second reading is scheduled for December 16th. Item 9C is Resolution 2014-107, approving the intergovernmental agreement between the city and the state of Colorado for a state library grant. Item 9D is Resolution 2014-108, approving the intergovernmental agreement between the city and the City of Colorado Springs for an Internet Crimes Against Children Grant Award. Item 9E is approve and authorize the mayor to sign a contract for audit services with Clifton Larson Allen LLP for 2014. And staff does not have a need to pull any items from the agenda.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Thank you, Mayor Coombs. I would like to move the consent agenda.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Let's vote. That passes 7-0.
Your first item on general business is a cash match request from Boulder County for USDA grant to fund the Harvest Bucks program, and Karen Roney will introduce this.
Thank you, Valerie. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I'm Karen Roney, Community Services Director. And I'll just make some introductory comments and then invite Rachel Arndt from Boulder County Public Health to come down and make a more detailed presentation and respond to your questions. So earlier in November, the council received a request from Boulder County Public Health to consider providing a cash match of $10,000 for a grant that the Public Health Department is submitting to the USDA to help support additional funding for the Harvest Bucks program. And council had a discussion about that on November 10th, I believe, had some additional questions and asked if we would bring this back so you would have more time to discuss this and ask Rachel questions about the program. So we did provide some additional information in your council packet, in your council communication. And Rachel will go over that with you in just a little bit. But in brief, the Harvest Bucks program provides customers and residents in our city and throughout Boulder County who are receiving federal food nutrition assistance with an incentive to purchase and access locally grown fresh foods at the local farmers market here in Longmont and also in city of Boulder. And through the Harvest Bucks program, recipients can double their benefits when buying fruits and vegetables at the farmers market. And so what the Public Health Department is looking at is, again, applying for a grant that would allow us to expand that particular program in 2015 and beyond, I think for 4 years, I believe. And one of the questions that I'll respond to, and Rachel will go into more detail, is I think one of the questions was about, so why is it that council and the city receives that request late in the year, so it's outside of the budget process? And what we did include in your packet is that that basically that particular USDA grant proposal was released in October of this year. That was past our Human Service Agency funding cycle, and just for future consideration is that for out years, for 2016, when we opened the Human Service Agency funding process again, this particular grant and Boulder County Public Health would be eligible to apply for this kind of a program. It does meet our Tier 1 funding criteria, and so in future years, the Boulder County Health Department could apply through the City of Longmont Human Service Agency process. And the other thing I also wanted to clarify, and I think we do have it correct on your council agenda, is that the amount of funding that's available in the general fund council contingency is $75,477. The cash match request is $10,000. And so what we would be looking for tonight is direction from City Council about whether or not to fund the Boulder County Public Health request for cash match in the amount of $10,000 out of this particular source of money, or deny that request, or tell us what else you would like to do. So the grant proposal is due in soon, I think by mid-December, and so it would be great to have some direction from council either way about whether or not to support this grant. So I would like to introduce Rachel Arndt from Boulder County Public Health, who I'm sure can answer any other questions that you might have about the Harvest Bucks program and about this particular grant proposal. Rachel.
I'm Rachel Arndt. I'm the Built Environment and Healthy Eating Active Living Coordinator for Boulder County Public Health. Do I need to state our address as well? Okay. I'm here tonight to talk to you about the Harvest Bucks program, and Karen really provided a great overview of the gist of the program so far. So we've been really successful. You have some data in your packets showing that, including the matching dollars in the 3-month period, we were able to increase utilization of the farmers market by over 500% for those folks that are on SNAP. We hope to be able to expand this program and extend it throughout the entire season next year. This USDA grant is a 100% matching grant. So that means that over the next 4 years, we have to secure $125,000, hopefully, a year over the next 4 years in order to receive the $500,000 match for this grant. And I can tell you a little bit about what we hope to use those funds for and some other matching funds that we've pursued already. I hope to, of course, be able to use at least half of the funds directly on the incentives. So over $50,000 to $60,000 so far in my draft budget will be used to go directly to SNAP recipients in the form of matching dollars. We also have heard some feedback from SNAP recipients that they would like to increase the match from $20 to $40. That was reiterated also by several of the farmers as well at the farmers markets, that they thought that would be a fair match for a family per week. So that would represent $80 per person per week. For their $40 contribution, they would receive $40 back in exchange. So in addition to the actual matching bucks, I hope to hire a coordinator to help me be able to do all of this work. Something that Karen and I spoke about as well as really being able to provide additional resources to folks outside of the normal April to November timeframe when the farmers market is open, so that people can have better connection and access to food resources year round. So that's another goal of this program as well. We hope to hire a specific staff person to work at the Longmont Farmers Market that is bilingual and can help us actually conduct several of the surveys that we're looking to conduct year round to make sure that we're doing a good job with this program. The coordinator person would be a half-time staff person that would also work with several of the nonprofits in Longmont to really get the word out. And Karen's already done a really great job sharing some of the resources that we've provided this year as well. One thing that I do want to say is that the idea for this program really formed when we were in Santa Fe. Jennifer Kemp is here also from Boulder County Parks and Open Space, and we both attended a conference in Santa Fe with a team from Boulder County and the city of Boulder, and we were talking about local food issues there. And I talked about this potential program idea that I've had for a couple of years, and we really were able to gather some funds from the City of Boulder and Boulder County Parks and Open Space to pilot this year. So it was really, really fast. We implemented just August through the end of November. I think the last market at the Boulder farmers market was this past Saturday. So these numbers represent very, very rushed implementation and not very much outreach. So we really anticipate that utilization will increase greatly in the coming years. Let's see. This is also a priority of our Healthy Eating and Active Living implementation team, which represents folks from Community Food Share, both school districts, several of our clinics. Salud has also agreed to promote this with their new clients as they enroll, so spending 5 minutes just to orient folks to the market. We're also partnering with SNAP Ed to be able to provide some funds so that they can purchase local fruits and vegetables for their actual nutrition classes. So really trying to integrate services well. And I just did compile the results of our local survey. So I had presented some national data on the program, and we were actually able to survey around 15% of participants in the program. And I think that that's pretty good because a lot of folks were only one-time participants. I have a checklist of all of the people that slid their card this summer during the pilot. And just to give you some perspective, over 88% of the Harvest Buck recipients reported increasing their consumption of fruits and vegetables. So that's in line with the national statistics of 90%. Over 94% agreed or strongly agreed that it was easier to purchase fruits and vegetables as a result of shopping at the market. Over 80%, this is 10% higher than the national statistics, said that the incentive was very important in getting them to spend their federal nutrition benefits at the market. 91% said that they got half or more of their fruits and vegetables from the farmers market during those months. And over 90% reported increasing the variety of fruits and vegetables as well. I just want to reiterate that I know that this is outside of the normal budget cycle, and we really wanted to have some data before we requested any of Karen's Human Services funds to prove that this project worked. And this opportunity is really great. The Food Insecurity Nutrition Incentive, this is the first year that USDA has released this grant. So it's a really good opportunity. I have been speaking with a lot of folks from across the state, and I think that we have the strongest, or one of the strongest, if not the strongest, applications in the state. So we're partnering closely with Colorado Farmers Market Association as well, and really trying to provide some technical assistance and mentorship across the state to build capacity to be able to do this. So regardless of where folks move, they'll be able to take advantage of this kind of incentive. I think that's all that I have. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Councilmember Santos?
Thank you, Mayor Coombs. I got several questions. So the breakdown of funding right now is the City of Boulder Human Services Department and Boulder County Open Space. Is that right?
That was for the pilot. So if we receive the match, I am actually meeting with Frank Alexander, our Director of Housing and Human Services. The safety net funding was extended this year, so we're hopeful that we'll be able to use some of those funds as well. And if not, then Jennifer and I will be pursuing the commissioners for a larger contribution. The City of Boulder did up their contribution to $15,000. I'm working with the United Way to secure potentially $150,000.
But I mean, for right now, for the request that you're asking us is $10,000 for this.
For next year, that's if we. I mean, I would like it regardless, but we can put a disclaimer that it's if we.
No. Okay, so for this round, this current round for the next year, this $10,000 that you're requesting from the City of Longmont, who else is also funding this?
In a cash match?
Correct.
So, City of Boulder at $15,000, and we're still waiting. We believe that the county will fund at a higher rate than $10,000.
What about the other municipalities in Boulder County?
We're only right now doing the markets that are in the City of Boulder and the City of Longmont. And the breakdown of the numbers of who actually utilize these markets, it's really, I mean, in Boulder, we had $7,300 in harvest bucks go out from April 2nd to the end of October, and over 5,000 of those dollars were to City of Boulder residents, and I think around 2,400 in Longmont, and it's actually a much higher percentage in Longmont went out to Longmont
So
residents.
will any other residents of other cities get these bucks? My concern is we're going to contribute $10,000, and residents of Longmont aren't going to get their fair share.
So this was also a concern, and Jennifer can answer any other questions for the City of Boulder, and I was able to demonstrate that such a high percentage of these bucks went to City of Boulder residents that they didn't feel that there was a necessary 100% assurance that we needed to say only City of Boulder residents can utilize this. I mean, it would be extremely difficult at the point of sale to have someone, before they swipe their card, show their ID to say that. But I can, from the data this year.
So when these bucks are distributed, that that residents of Longmont are going to get, those folks that actually need it are going to get the money that we contributed and get the amount of dollars that we contributed. That's my concern.
I think
I haven't, from what I heard last time and what I'm hearing now, that can't be demonstrated.
We do have the data showing that over 85% of the dollars that were utilized in Longmont went to Longmont residents. Folks did have to write down and track the zip code that they lived in, so I can provide that specific data to you after this meeting in the spreadsheet, if that would be helpful.
And it's always after the meeting.
I don't have that spreadsheet.
Okay. So I guess my other question is, how much of the funds that you're going to get are going to go to these two staffers that you're going to hire?
The staff person for the City of Longmont, I actually did print off my budget. So this is just an hourly bilingual staff person to work at the market. This is only with the USDA funds. That would be just under $7,500 a year to be able to have someone help out with the administrative burden that the farmers market has taken. They're giving about $20,000 a year match in administrative services and doing all the tracking for this. The coordinator would be $25 an hour, half-time. So I think with the fringe and indirect, it's around $43,000 a year for that staff person to coordinate. They would also be hosting a lot of the tours at the market and integrating the services much better with SNAP Ed as well. And one thing that Jennifer and I have been speaking about as well is really being able to look for additional funds year after year. I had originally written this into the sustainability tax as a line item, but that was taken off of the ballot as a result of the flood. So we're hoping when the sustainability tax, if it is on the ballot again, maybe in 2016, that this would be a staple program that's supported by that.
That's all the questions I have for right now.
Councilmember Christensen.
I wanted to thank you for coming back. We were, we're trying to get stuff off of being funded by these contingency funds. But I do understand now, I think we all understand that this is a new program, and so the schedule didn't work to have this presented to the Health and Human Services Board as part of their funding. And I want to thank you for bringing back some more additional information to show how it's distributed, and that data really helps, I think. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, my kind of thoughts on this whole subject is, it supports active living and healthy living, so it goes along hand in hand with Live Well Longmont. I think it could potentially help the Salud Clinic, which treats a lot of people with diabetes issues, which you can mitigate some of that by diet. Most of it's education, and since that's part of your core, it seems like a good thing. So I don't know, I'm pretty excited about seeing this test program move forward. Councilmember Levison?
Thank you, Mayor. I have some experience with neighbors of mine I know who have been, walking down to the farmers market and utilizing this program, and it's really been a big benefit. I also think that strategically, when we've got two farmers markets, one downtown and one at the fairgrounds, I know the one downtown was an experiment this summer because, frankly, downtown has become a food desert, and you can't, if you don't have transportation, it's really hard to get to a supermarket and get home efficiently, so you can get those fruits and vegetables in a fridge and stashed away. So I do support this program. The other thing I think we have to remember is that there could also be Longmont residents eligible for this program that work in Boulder, and they can take advantage of when they might be getting off of work before they get back home. They could hit the farmers market in Boulder and utilize their benefits there. So it's not just a question of are other people coming to Longmont using the benefits. It could be that our residents that work in Boulder could be taking advantage of a farmer's market on a different night when they might have, it might better fit their schedule to purchase at the Boulder market. I also think that this kind of program really helps families that may be marginalized and not getting out to do community activities very often due to income restrictions and where they can get to shop. This brings people more in the mainstream, and they not only is it buying the food at the market, but getting some recipes at the market, getting some of the other activities and access to resources that this program would support, and frankly, just being out with everybody else in the community, supporting local business and local farmers, and getting higher quality food also I think is really critical, because better quality food, people will enjoy fruits and vegetables more, which means they'll be more encouraged to eat them more frequently. So I think this is a pretty solid program, and after having come off the conference last week and in Austin for National League of Cities and having attended a couple of programs around food access issues, I think I'm more strong in my support after learning some things last week. So I would support this.
Councilmember Bailey.
Thank you, Mayor Coombs. Like that haircut, buddy.
Thank you.
I like it. I guess first of all, I appreciate your work, but I do have some concerns, and so I guess I'm just going to vocalize them because that's what we do here on council. I don't view this, even though there's data, I'd question the data. For example, over 90% of DVCP consumers reported increasing their consumption of fresh fruits and vegetables. Well, yeah, because we're giving them double their money, and I would expect it to be 100% rather than 90%. 66% of farmers participating in DVCP reported increased sales due to, again, we're giving them double the money. Makes sense. But I don't, and so I can make that same argument. All the statistics of increased consumption of vegetables, hopefully it would be twice as many if they're only purchasing from the farmers market. But where I have a problem with this is that, there's a difference between advocating, help for those who are impoverished, those who really need food, and then championing the farmers market. I'm familiar with WIC. My wife and I were Boulder County foster parents. We were intimately involved in, having to sign up for WIC, and we had to use the WIC program and the SNAP program to feed our kids before they were adopted. I've stood in lines. I understand. I didn't need it for me, but they needed it, and I participated. And I think they're wonderful programs. But when someone is hungry, the question becomes, how do they get fed? And I think that the best way to get fed when you're hungry is to go to where the food is cheapest and best. And my question is that the farmers market? So I don't view this program as necessarily helping, our poor. I view this as a program that is helping the farmers market. And I don't have anything against the farmers market. I just don't think that it's the government's job to subsidize the farmers market. And so, while I can certainly appreciate, differing views, I don't think we should be giving $10,000 just because it's the farmers market and we think that it sounds cool and we're Boulder County and we love our organic vegetables, and I just don't think it's money that we should be spending. There's an opportunity cost to everything we purchase as a council. My question is, would we rather spend $10,000 on this, or would we rather give $10,000 more to the Hours Center? And so it's not just about giving money to help the poor. There's other elements to this. And I think that if we, again, I made the comment before we started council. I got here early for once, 30 minutes early. Made up for all the times I wander in 2 or 3 minutes late. But I think that the comment I made to Eugene May was while we were just chit-chatting. I said, anyway, we don't have to talk about what I mentioned to you, but the reality is that government agencies, specifically elected officials, we always say yes. People come in and they say, hey, give us some money. And this sounds great. We're going to support the farmers market and we kumbaya, it's all great. But the reality is, from the local level to the national level, we always say yes. And this is a particular program I think we should say no to, because it's not something I think our government should be funding. I'm all for the farmers market, but I think that's something that the farmers and local growers should be mostly involved in propagating. So I'm not going to be voting for it, but I'm not going to yell at anybody for voting the other way.
You never yell at anybody anyway. Councilmember Moore.
Thank you, Mayor Coons. So there's basically, as I see it, two beneficiaries here. You've got the farmers market, farmers, individuals, people that are making a living selling at the farmers market. And then you have the SNAP recipients that are at the farmers market buying produce from those farmers. So where's the commitment from the farmers to support this program? And why aren't they supporting this? 100 farmers at $100, that's $10,000. Why? I mean, to me, that seems like a safer route to go than come to council and get to not know whether you're getting it funded or not.
Would you like me to respond?
Yes.
So there are several farmers that are still honoring the double SNAP. So Cure Organic Farms, Red Wagon Farm, and one other. But I think Jennifer can probably speak to this much better than I can. I have friends that are farmers at these farmers markets, and many of them nearly qualify to be on food stamps themselves. They're not making a lot of money, and they've really enjoyed this program, I would say, because in the past they have thought that they could only really grow fruits and vegetables for people that were wealthy enough to afford them, and now they feel a lot happier, at least in the cases that of the folks that I've spoken with, because they feel like they can really grow food for the entire community. So there are several farmers, I think 4 of them. I can't remember the names of the other farms, and Jennifer can't either, but they are actually then tripling SNAP. And I'll just address a couple of your comments as well, and that most of the folks that we speak to at the Hour Center, one of our partners that has been promoting this program, as well as Community Food Share, is that folks can't get enough fresh fruits and vegetables, and they're kind of sick of getting canned fruits and vegetables. They really want to be able to participate in the community aspects of a farmer's market and it being a place that they're also welcome. So this isn't just about, I think, supporting the local economy, which, I mean, there's a lot of national research to show that SNAP dollars generate a lot of additional money into the local economy, but it's also about really being able to provide everybody in the community with equal access to healthy fruits and vegetables. So there are several farmers that are already doing that. So,
right, but they're not supporting. There are farmers that could support this program. I'm sure there are. There's large enough farmer, Miller Farms, for example. They obviously would be a beneficiary of this, and if they can't kick it $100, I don't see why I would want to support it.
So several of them already donate to many of the food pantries and shelters, and I feel like in the past, everyone always goes to the farmers market asking for money, and this should really be a way to generate income for farmers and the farmers markets as well. That's one of the beauties of this program, is that it doesn't just benefit people that are food insecure. It doesn't just benefit local farmers and the local economy, and it doesn't just make the community more inclusive. It kind of does all three of those. So my goal has honestly been not to pursue farmers, because many of them are struggling and hurting, and the ones that aren't are already doubling SNAP at the farmers market for folks. So in a sense, tripling. They don't double the match, and several of them are also donating, like Miller Farms, to several of the food banks as well.
You know, I kind of think we're missing the whole point. We have a healthcare crisis nationwide in this city, and all calories aren't the same. It's not just feeding people cheap food, but teaching them how to eat healthy, give them alternatives. And there's nothing healthier than the food you buy locally at your farmer's market. I know, because that's how I eat. That's why I'm so healthy. And I think people that are poor should have that same access to health and wellness, because in the end, it's going to save us money on healthcare costs and all these other medical clinics and emergency room visits and stuff. So I'm going to be for it. Just because, and I don't care if 5% of the people from Lafayette might come up here, as long as, a good portion are Longmont and Boulder citizens. I'm not going to worry about some of the fringe people that might benefit that haven't contributed money. I don't think that's that big of a deal to me, but I'm definitely going to support it. Councilmember Moore?
Thank you, Mayor. So one of the other concerns I have, I want to make sure I heard you right. You said there's a $5,000 direct benefit out of the $10,000 we would be contributing.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
You said what I heard was that out of the $10,000, $5,000 would be direct benefits to the program, and $5,000 be used for administrative costs.
No, I want the full $10,000 to go towards.
I understand that, but if we gave you $10,000, $5,000 would go to SNAP, is what I heard.
No, $10,000 would all go in the form of vouchers to the community. None of that money would go towards the administrative costs. Those are being absorbed currently through my staff hours, the farmers market time, and then if we're able to get this grant, then we will hire additional staff to help us administer the program at a larger scale. So that would be direct matching dollars. It would be 10,000 harvest bucks in single dollar increments, only to be spent on fruits and vegetables at the Longmont Farmers Market. And I will note that several Longmont dollars were spent in Boulder, and several Boulder folks came up to Longmont to spend money at your farmers market as well. A lot of people from Boulder come up here too to utilize the market.
Okay, well, I guess every time somebody needs money, they come running to the city council. And I just want to make sure that other sources of revenue or sources of income are being explored, and I'm really not seeing that here. So I don't know that I can support it either.
Councilmember Santos.
Mayor Coombs, well, I have spoken once before. I know Councilmember Finley has not. So in our rules of procedure, I will relinquish to Councilmember Finley.
Oops. Well, Polly's already. Can you?
I have too, so I'm
Yeah.
happy to switch with Bonnie.
You turn off your microphone.
Oh, okay.
Councilmember Finley.
Thank you, Mayor Coombs, and thank you, council members, for obeying our rules of order here. That's lovely. Very civil of us all, isn't it? I would be more comfortable if the $10,000 didn't just go to the farmer's market, but went to the people who needed fruits and vegetables to spend wherever they could get fruits and vegetables. If you could go, if they could take, especially in the wintertime when it's really hard to get fresh stuff, if you could go to Lucky's or go to King Soopers or go, if they could use those bucks to go to wherever they shop now and get fruits and vegetables, only to be used for fruits and vegetables, I could support that then. I have a little harder time supporting just money at the farmer's market because, quite frankly, I go there And a lot of that stuff's really high priced. And I know it's local and I know it's organic and it's better for them, but they can buy organic at a lot cheaper at some of our local grocery stores. So would you ever think about expanding the program to just make those dollars for fruits and vegetables no matter where they buy them?
You read my mind. Actually, it is my goal, hopefully in the next 5 years. It's an ambitious goal, but to actually extend this, not maybe at a doubling rate, but to all of the grocery stores in Colorado. So I've already been working with a couple of folks, at least throwing the idea around. What I'd like to do next year is apply for some pilot funding from the USDA through the same source. This is a 4-year. There will be additional pools of money opened up the next 4 years, and they have $100,000 pots of money for a pilot project. So a pilot project would potentially be working with a grocery store to discount fruits and vegetables. So somewhere in Longmont was what I was thinking, maybe Lucky's, and I mean, just off the top of my head, a small chain that we could pilot something like this at. And there was one chain of grocery stores this past year that implemented something like this in Michigan, Spartan Food Chain, and we're still kind of waiting to hear back on the results of that. But it's something that you try to build the capacity for through the farmers markets first and then extend to grocery stores.
Yeah, I'd just be more comfortable if they could spend those, because I know you go to the hour center, you get your cans and boxes of food, but you don't get your green stuff, especially in the winter. And if they could use those bucks to go buy that, you know, when there's not a farmer's market, or when they can't afford the farmer's market. There are times when I can't afford to shop at the farmer's market. So for the city to give $10,000 for other people to go shop there when I can't afford to shop there, there's just something that doesn't quite sound right for me.
Well, I definitely agree that the resources need to be year-round, and that's why we are pursuing those opportunities. It's just something that most folks haven't done yet around the country, and this has been an extremely successful program nationally where it's been implemented already. Santa Fe, at the conference that we were at, has agreed. Do you remember how much money they were going to put in? So, hello, Jennifer Kemp, 1017 Longs Peak Avenue. Good evening, Mayor Coombs and City Council. So when we met with the City of Santa Fe, we toured their farmers market. Their manager, 5 years ago maybe, started this program and also did it on a shoestring budget. They were very excited to say that they were up to about $60,000 this year, meaning they're going to be able to provide double SNAP year-round at their farmers market through funds through the City of Santa Fe and also through the county. I don't even know what county that is, but they did receive, is it Santa Fe County? I'm not sure. But they did receive money from both of those sources and from other funders. One thing that I think was very interesting from their data set, and I don't have actual numbers, but the year before they received a grant to double SNAP, I would say, I'm going to make up some numbers here, but they had maybe 12,000 in SNAP sales at the farmers market the year before. When they doubled, I believe the base went, so if you had 12,000 just in the base funding without the doubling, I think it tripled, didn't it? The year that they had doubling. So it actually tripled the base, and then they had the doubling on top of that. The following year, they did not have the grant, but they were able to show that the base had doubled again the third year, year 3. So what is happening is people who are using SNAP dollars, there is a comfort level. There's, I think for anybody who maybe doesn't eat veggies as much as you do, Mayor Coombs, you know, just getting to know the farmers market, getting to know your local farmers, getting to know what kind of vegetables are being grown in the area and how you can use them, how you can cook them. There's a big learning curve there too. And I think what they showed in Santa Fe was without the grant dollars, they still were able to bring customers into the market. So I hear your concerns. I definitely hear all of your concerns. But I think at the same time, there's a very valuable educational component happening at the farmers market. Santa Fe did a wonderful job with creating materials that said, how can you shop on a budget at the farmers market? And I get it. I hear what you're saying about the prices. It's not always cheap when you go down and you go,
wow, $12 for a pound of cherries from
$5
Western Slope.
for a tomato? That's,
Right. And I have friends who live on Western Slope, and now it's just like, I cannot believe how much you guys pay for cherries in Boulder County. We get it. But this also is about getting rid of some of those barriers for local food consumption in the county. And as Rachel has said, we would love to be able to expand this program at some point, so it is in grocery stores. Right now, the interest is funding at farmers markets. That's what the Farm Bill put a lot of money into. And I do think that there is a community component here that we see happening. So.
Okay.
Councilmember Santos.
Thank you, Mayor Coombs. Well, I know you can get fresh vegetables at the community food share. I know they moved their location. There's been a lot of assumptions about what this can and cannot do. I think the cause is very noble, and like Councilmember Finley said, if this was expanded to grocery stores, I would really have no problem. Councilmember Bagley pretty much hit it right on the head, where it looks like it just benefits the farmers market, and I like the farmers market as well. I've shopped the one downtown, and I've shopped the one over at the fairgrounds. But when you try to buy a tomato that's $5 or $6 for one, when you can go to King Soopers or Natural Grocers or Sprouts, this isn't a plug for all the other grocery stores here in town, but get an organic vegetable at less, at a cheaper price. There's your education. There are members of council, one to my right, who, that's vegetables is what they eat, and I get that. It's very healthy, and there are some, there are health benefits. To me, vegetables are what food eats. So I like my steak, and I also like my vegetables to go with it. But steak is a vegetable. That's Councilmember Bagley. But again, I have questions. Where's Salud? Is Salud giving any money to this?
So Salud is planning to do an intervention with each new client. So they'll be spending 5 minutes basically providing some of the education components. So they will be providing an in-kind match.
I love in-kind matches.
And I would be happy to have an in-kind match too. If the $10,000
I love in-kind matches, but sometimes in-kind matches do not help as far as monetary matches. But I'm not seeing the monetary matches from other communities. So I move to deny the request. That's the motion. Move to deny.
For the second. You're in a second? Okay. First off, an organic tomato, you buy at a grocery store that's picked 4 or 5 days before and sold it isn't the same as an organic tomato that's picked the same day or the day before at Olin Farms. I mean, the flavor is just different. The nutritional content's different. It's not the same. That's why it's so important to be buying your food, if you can, when it's during produce season from your locally owned farmers market, because there's more nutrition per calorie in that food. I don't care if it's organic or non-organic, but the sooner you eat the food after it's picked, the better it is for you. And that's just a fact. It's a scientific fact. And that's what we're providing these people. So, and plus the fact that this is a pilot program, it could double again, in the fact that Salud Clinic, they do have an educational piece. I was over there for the grand opening. I feel real strongly that it would be a big mistake not to support this. I mean, it's a $10,000 program, so I'm not going to vote to deny this request. Councilmember Christensen.
Okay, first of all, this provides help to the local farmers who really need help. And they aren't, you're right, all my family came from farms. They don't have big margins to play around with and donate to this. But they are, as you say, a lot of them are donating to this. So this is a benefit for the farms and the farmers market and the people who are getting far better nutrition. Secondly, about the fact that the city is always getting asked, city council is always getting asked for money. The largest, one of the largest groups that contribute money is Health and Human Services, and I've sat now through 2 cycles, and I've seen lots and lots of people get absolutely nothing, and others, very few people get everything they've asked for. So it isn't true that City Council is the main main group that people come to. That would be many other groups, mainly Health and Human Services.
I think that we missed, and we're not remembering what the point of this grant is. It's coming from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, correct? And the U.S. Department of Agriculture wants to support local farm initiatives through farmers selling at farmers markets. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
The goal is.
That's the goal of this particular grant program, which would be, $500,000 all told, and our contribution for that to make a go of it would be $10,000. So, I would advocate that council members do not vote for this motion. I think that one of the other factors that you haven't brought us is that in contrast to when you buy at the farmer's market or a national food chain, your money stays local. The farmers have a local accountant. They're hiring local people. That money, that dollar, those extra dollars coming through the SNAP program are actually going to work harder in our community when they're actually spent locally. So I think that that's something that there is a multiplier effect. I also want to point out that there are many of these farms that participate in farmers markets that allow at the end of the growing season for people to come in and glean the fields. And they give everything else away if people come and show up and dig the rest of the potatoes and get everything around the edges and the corners. So those farmers do contribute. And I don't think we would turn around and ask all the grocery stores to contribute based on their volume of sales, $1,000, $2,000, to participate in a program to help people buy more food. But we're suggesting that, every one of these farmers should fork over money to, contribute to this. You did mention, though, that the Boulder County Farmers Market is spending about $20,000.
That's in the administrative costs.
For the so that's a cost avoidance for the grant then, if they're administrating.
Right, so that
makes the money go further because it would go just to, so that might be considered also an in-kind, right?
It is an in-kind, then they're not asking to be reimbursed for that.
Okay. I know people have their reservations. I think that to prove up this concept, that I'm also seeing that it might prove up additional federal funding that we haven't seen before coming into our community. I would advocate that that we would use this money for that purpose. And I also will remind council members that there was one year that council was requested pretty much to have the remainder of our chunk of council contingency money given over to house people and during the winter on an emergency basis. And that turned out to be one of the coldest snaps we had in January. We probably saved people's lives. So to say that, we should consider requests when they come in, we don't really know sometimes the result of spending of the money. And in that circumstance, clearly it benefited people, just as this program will nutritionally benefit families that are in SNAP, and also give them another location and community as part of the general Longmont community that visits the farmers market.
Thank you, Mayor Coombs. What a fun discussion, right? What a fun discussion. I guess it's not about whether or not we support farmers markets. It's not whether or not we like good tasting tomatoes. It's about whether or not government should be providing these funds. That's how I look at this. And And I think the answer is no. But the other thing is, I think it goes one step further. I got married in 1995, and I was below. I would have qualified for the first 5 years of my marriage, my young family, because we earned less than $23,856 a year. And my father, who didn't give me money, but he was wise and very sage in his advice, I can hear him right now, and he's saying, I'm heading down to the farmer's market, and you go, what the hell are you doing? You earn $23,000 a year. And what message are we sending when we're encouraging people who earn less than $23,856 a year to go blow their budget on high-priced vegetables when they can get vegetables at other locations in our city? I just find it somewhat stupefying. Just me. So there's a motion on the table, and I say we just vote on it and see what happens.
Okay. Let's vote. Okay, it passes 5-2, so.
Thank you for your time tonight, and I do look forward to getting the USDA grant and offering this to your residents as well. Thank you.
She voted the wrong way.
Oh, I can change it? Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, no, not.
Councilmember Christensen?
I would like to clarify my vote. I misunderstood what I was voting. Yes, I misunderstood. I vote against it.
Yeah. She was not on the prevailing. Yeah. So right. Yeah. It works. So you can change your vote.
Okay.
Basically.
I'm trying.
43. Is that correct?
Yes.
I can't change it now.
She's got it.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Your next item is the Municipalities Continuing Disclosure Cooperative Initiative, and Jim Golden is here to present that.
Mayor Coombs, members of council, I'm Jim Golden, Director of Finance. So the Municipalities Continuing Disclosure Cooperation Initiative, MCDC. That's an opportunity that's available through December 1st for government to self-report if it has made any material misstatements regarding its continuing disclosure as required for its debt issuance official statements that they have put out within the past 5 years. The Colorado Water Resources and Power Development Authority was considering whether to include filings that were made by the city of Longmont as material misstatements in their own filing under the MCDC. We were bringing this item back to you on the agenda in case they were to decide that, so that you could give us some direction. We learned late Friday afternoon that they decided that they determined they were not material misstatements. It would not be including them within their reporting. So we do not need you to take action on this tonight. I can answer any questions you might have on it otherwise.
Anybody have any questions for Jim? Councilmember Levison?
Not so much a question, but I subscribe to the Municipal Securities Rulemaking Commission email blast, and I got one today that I forward to you about a new rulemaking, and I hope that we can take a look at the additional requirements that they're looking at adding for increased disclosure in another area. So it seems like they're coming out like every week with something different.
Right, and I did receive that, Councilmember Levison, and actually the city has no such investments. We would not be impacted by that new proposed rule, I guess.
So at this point, we don't need to make any type of motion until we hear more.
And we will not hear otherwise. They have determined that we will not be included, so we do not have to take action.
Great. Awesome.
All right, thank you.
Okay. I guess it's time for a final call. Public invited to be heard. Is there anybody from the public like to speak at this time? I guess seeing no one, I'll close public invited to be heard. Final call, public invited to be heard. So now it's time for mayor and council comments. Councilmember Bagley.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to pose a challenge. Okay. I'm going to give you $100, Mayor. Okay.
Great.
And I want you to go out and spend that $100. Okay. And you're going to buy the freshest, juiciest tomatoes ever, and they're going to be available for the public on Tuesday.
Okay.
Would you accept that challenge?
I'll accept. Well,
I'll get you a check.
Okay.
You gotta get the nutritional content.
But that's why I'm leaving it up to the mayor.
But you'll have to have a lab test the nutritional.
I mean, I'm serious. Next Tuesday, there will be tomatoes for all.
But now it's not tomato season.
No? Well, what kind of vegetable? You're the king of vegetables. What kind of vegetables will we need if I wanted to give good, high-quality vegetables on Tuesday? Kale. I'm not buying kale for anybody. That just ain't going to happen. Why don't we hand out booze to minors? That ain't going to happen.
Okay.
So you let me know. So you just let me know. I'm willing. I'm willing.
I'll let you know it. Councilmember Christensen.
I'd like to remind people that in this season when we're starting to give to people and it's getting very expensive, there's something you can give that's for free, and you can give blood, and it's a good time to give blood.
Councilmember Wilson.
So you can give a pound of flesh and you can give blood. That's great. Yeah, and tomatoes. I just want to give a very brief report on some of my work at National League of Cities conference last week. It turns out that my committee that I'm chairing, FAIR, had the only big discussion at resolutions committees on our resolutions. But fortunately, we did pass all of our resolutions out of that committee and then were accepted by the general membership. One specifically was to try to harmonize and get guidance from the federal government on banking procedures for medical marijuana and recreational marijuana businesses in not just Colorado but across the country. And that did pass with some very good language that was added by many different committee members working together. The other thing is I was able to participate in a panel discussion on collaborative leadership around early childhood issues that was very well attended, and I have to say the conference overall was very well attended, maybe 3,500 attendees. Great, a lot of really good workshops. I also want to commend Mayor Wyckoff was on a panel on Friday on water and scarcity of water and sustainability and water resources, and did a fantastic job. And I also want to congratulate Mayor Boulder, Matt Applebaum, who was elected to the National League of Cities board, which is an excellent thing for not just us being a neighbor city, but also the state of Colorado. Colorado has not had an elected member of this National League of Cities board since 2008, when Kathy Novak was president of the National League of Cities. So great conference, and I will be getting with Sandy Cedar and passing her the big policy book that was enacted on Saturday. So the conference was so big, I rarely saw my fellow council members. I also wanted to give a thanks to Councilmember Santos. I was in a session and there was a announcement of some funding possibly on a grant for certain types of park development, and Councilmember Santos graciously decided to go to that session to find out more, so I really appreciate that. We'll be getting information on that. But I appreciate you being in there in the hallway for me to grab and say, can you go to this? And a really neat new opportunity. So very successful meeting.
Thank you, Mayor Coombs. I also have a little bit to report on National League of Cities conference. Went to several of the entrepreneurship and the sharing economy. There were a couple of good sessions there. There are challenges and opportunities in the sharing economy. There's been some hiccups, especially around Uber and Lyft services in cities like Milwaukee, where they really weren't well received, and it was a kind of a, and Denver, I guess, had some similar issues. And the other one was like Airbnb. We need to make sure that we're prepared for this in our framework for how we regulate these businesses as they come into town, because there is some regulation that will need to happen to keep everything on an equitable basis with existing businesses. And although Uber and Lyft are probably not too big an issue for Longmont because the state regulates taxis and ride-sharing services, but the lodging is something that we're going to have to be ready for. There may be a few in Longmont right now, and we need to make sure that we're not only able to manage it, but also be able to welcome it, because this is the way it's going to happen from now on. Somebody's going to come up with a new idea, and bam, it's going to be on the street. And so cities have to be able to manage it and react to it, and be able to handle it as it happens. Because these companies don't form business plans anymore; they just go out and do it. The second one is driving entrepreneurship. The panel discussion on they had accelerators and incubators on the panel, and there was a common theme: fast internet. So with Longmont's situation where we're developing an accelerator and an incubator and a co-working space and fast internet, I think we're on the right track. We just have to make sure we don't lose sight of it. We have to be able to be prepared to support it and push it over the top. The ITC committee met. For I'm going to talk about Marketplace Fairness Act. It's taxing of sales on the internet, sales tax. National League of Cities has a position to support that. However, the ITC committee does not support taxing internet services. The two resolutions that were moved forward or updated were the resolution to support municipal broadbands, and the access to broadband is such an important issue anymore because this is the communications services of the future. The FCC has a lot of actions coming forward. One of the main ones that's on the short-term horizons is wireless tower sightings. The regulations are up for an adjustment because of all the need for wireless services. Because I think that what I'm hearing from the big companies is that that's the way they're going to deliver that wireless, or they're going to deliver internet access wirelessly, and because of the cost of infrastructure to the last mile, for example. So all in all, a good conference, lots of people there, and I think I came away with a better understanding of what's going on. And a side note, I was appointed to as chairman of the ITC committee, and that also brings on a board seat on the National League of Cities. So,
wow, congratulations, Councilmember Finley.
Thank you, Mayor Coombs. You didn't tell me that. That's awesome. We have somebody from Longmont on the National League of Cities board. That's great. I also enjoyed the conference in Austin. Took a lot of really good classes. One of them was about being an audience-centric speaker. I would highly recommend it for all of our council members. Gabe took it with me. 2 takeaways from that. Tell the audience what they need to know and do it briefly, which I thought was great. Also downloaded an app that the speaker had developed. It was Smart Mouth. If you want to do any public speaking, you might want to check that out. Also took an economic development and innovation class. The biggest driver of economic development is really the marketing that you do before you even know you have somebody looking at your city. So they stress the importance of having an interactive website and easy access to information on your city on websites. So that was great news because we've redone all of our websites, and so has the LAEC. Also heard at another one of our conferences that water is the new gold, so we're really rich. We got a lot of water. And I also took a class, or it wasn't a class actually, it was a panel on public-private partnerships. The mayor of Centennial was on this panel. The city of Centennial has 100,000 people, and they only have 50 employees because everything is outsourced. It was very interesting. I had no idea so many city services could be outsourced. So I found that very interesting. Also, I wanted to congratulate the mayor and Mayor Pro Tem on their new hairdo. They helped raise a lot of money for the Humane Society.
Yeah, $520.
And so I want to thank you on behalf of all of Longmont for doing that. I think that's awesome. I also have
$1,000.
Oh, you might want to get a little competition thing going next year. Mention that the shopping season is upon us, and I know how all the men can make women happy is to shop at a local jewelry store called Snyder's Jewelry. It's been in town for a long, long time, and they're located at 2201 Ken Pratt Boulevard. Easy in and out parking, won't take you very long, and your wives will be really happy.
Councilmember Christensen.
I also went to that, but I meant to tell you, give you a brief report on my visit, my dinner in Area 51. I went to the Weld County dinner a few weeks ago with Maria Tostada and Dale Rodemaker. And I learned something very interesting that I thought might be useful. Windsor just recently got a federal grant for train noise abatement. And that's something I think we ought to look into because we've been figuring it was just way too expensive to do on our own. So if, anyway, I thought I would remind people of that. One of the more interesting things I went to at the conference in Austin was a lecture on many people who are working on veteran homelessness. And veteran homelessness, homelessness period, because of an initiative begun by our president in 2010 has been reduced by 40%, which is astonishing. And veteran homelessness has been reduced by 30%. In some places like Salt Lake City and Phoenix, who are members of the Mayor's Challenge to Veterans Homelessness, or ending veterans homelessness, the rate of homelessness has been reduced way down. And I think that's something we should also explore. It's really a disgrace if people who've offered to give their lives for their country come back here and don't have a roof over their head. It's immoral. So it would be, I think, a good thing for this town to do, to take the mayor's challenge to ending veterans homelessness. And there are many people, many groups, veterans, the reason it's good to start off with this and expand it to everybody else is veterans do have a lot of resources, and there are a lot of private partnerships also involved in this. Home Depot's involved in this, and it's a really good way to start to address our town's issues with homelessness. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Coombs. Well, I will be the fifth person who said they've gone to the National League of Cities Conference in Austin. I'm on the board of the Hispanic elected local officials. We had a board meeting. Unfortunately, we ran a little long because there were elections for the NLC board, and when you get politicians speaking about why they should be on the NLC board, it gets a little long. So got a little bit of work there done on some issues, broadband, and some potentially some water issues. Also, like Councilmember Finley said, she and I both went to a couple of sessions, one class, which I have a receipt for. I was waiting for Sandy to laugh. But there's train noise and things also came up again. I know that Sam sent us an email saying that he also met with the Federal Railroad Administrator Joe Sabo, who is leaving in January, but it might be a good idea to pick Sam's brain and find out what he actually got out of that meeting with Administrator Szabo. Because I'd be interested to see how Windsor got funds. It'd be really, it would behoove Longmont as a city to see if there's any potential funds out there. Last I heard, there was. It's an unfunded mandate. Anyway, good to see other council members from throughout the country. But all in all, when you're up at 5 o'clock in the morning and you're in bed at 1 o'clock in the morning trying to figure out exactly what sessions are good and what sessions, sometimes the label isn't exactly what is being presented, so you find out later on halfway through the session, gosh, I could have gone to another session. Hopefully one of the other council members went to it. So all in all, it was a well worth the trip. Congratulations to Councilmember Moore on his chairmanship for the ITC, and for Longmont to have a board seat on the NLC board. That's something that we sorely needed. Thanks.
Okay, I'm going to wrap this up. First off, everybody in the city should be aware of the fact that the Longmont football team is going to the state championships next Saturday. I think it's at 11 o'clock. There's plenty of parking down there in the stadium. So if you haven't gone, I went to the 2009 state championship game, and it's a lot of fun. And I think this football team is really unique. You saw that Doug Johnson had them out this, early in before the football season, actually helping out a lot of volunteer work in Lions and a lot of team building. That's paid off because this team's a team that doesn't have a ton of superstars, but they got they play as a unit both on offense and defense, and I think the whole town should be out there supporting them this weekend. So I hope a lot of people from Longmont watch this and decide to go down. It should be a lot of fun. I guess the other thing is I got a call today from Anthony Graves, who's Chief of Staff of Michael Hancock, and they're going for a state tourism grant to help out the stock show. I think there's also Durango's going for one too. But part of the grant is to show that it's regional, and he asked me if the city of Longmont would be willing to sign a letter kind of supporting their grant. I know that we're not applying for the same grant, but anyway, so I just thought I'd bring it up. I didn't really have much warning, but is that fine with everybody? Can you give me a head nod? Yeah, we'll get the letter. I mean, the letter, I haven't seen it, but when I get the letter, I'll send it out. But okay.
I heard the price tag from another member of the council in Denver. The price tag is enormous.
Yeah. Okay. That should be good for the region to get the Western Stock Show revitalized and whatnot. So, all right. I guess that's it. I just hope everybody has a nice, healthy, fun Thanksgiving holiday. Lots of vegetables, yep. Yes, there is. City Manager, any comments?
Mayor, Council, as we enter the holiday season, and if I forget this, Jim will kill me today. As we enter the holiday season, we always talk to you all about unlimited parking on Fridays downtown, so folks can patronize our downtown businesses. And so just wanted to let you know if you have any questions. This is something we do every year. But if you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer those questions now.
Okay. City Attorney, any comments?
Mayor and Council, I did want to address.
Wait, let's get ready.
So I was waiting until the tow hearing had concluded before addressing some of Stanley Toll's comments. I did attend his tow hearing at the beginning of this month. I think that the city's prosecutor and the police officer who was the witness were very professional, as well as the judge, in the face of a pretty combative pro se car owner. And I was able to speak to the police officer. She'd been doing tows for over 10 years, and have a much better understanding of the city's policies. First, with regard to kickbacks, the city receives no money for tows of junked and abandoned vehicles. That's between the tow operator and the owner of the vehicle. There is a $50 administrative fee annually to get on the tow list, which covers the city's administrative costs for administering that program. In terms of whether or not a car owner gets notice before his car gets towed, in the circumstance where it's a repeat offender, the officer has the discretion to skip the courtesy notice, since that car owner obviously knows the tow regulations because their vehicle has been towed previously and can move immediately to a tow. Mr. Toll also brought up the issue of hearsay. The ordinance provides that the tow hearing is conducted in accordance with the due process standards for administrative hearings. Those are different than court hearings. The judge explained that to Mr. Toll, said that hearsay is admissible in administrative hearings and is up to her to weigh the credibility of the evidence and determine the probative value, which is the general standard for administrative hearings. We also heard a lot from Mr. Toll that this is an illegal tow hearing because the city is seeking forfeiture of the vehicle. Two things. One, the city is not seeking forfeiture of Mr. Toll's vehicle. That would mean that we're trying to take it away from him. The purpose of this hearing was just to determine whether or not the tow was legal or not. Secondly, forfeiture can only be sought generally if the property is used in certain crimes such as prostitution, drugs, gambling, theft, or elder abuse. And none of those circumstances are present here. In the end, Judge Vanderhae found that the tow was legal because Mr. Toll was the owner of a junk vehicle with expired license plates that was parked on a public street in Longmont. It was pretty simple. And I know Mr. Toll comes down here and airs his grievances. He does have the ability to appeal the judge's decision to a district court under Rule 106A4. So while Mr. Toll likes to bring his complaints here, he also has judicial remedies if he so chooses.
Thank you, Eugene. Okay, this meeting is adjourned.